They were number one on the radio for 5 years in a row.
I've listened to Tiny and Katy since way back.
Now, they're the number one podcast at WAYZ.com.
I love the Tiny and Katy show.
It's the Tiny and Katy Show.
Hey, I'm Tiny.
Hola, it's Katy. Or salam, it's Katy. Or hello, it's Katy. Now I speak 3 languages.
And none of them has she mastered. But
Don't ask me anything more than hello and thank you.
Well, to welcome her back stateside, Katy is back. I'm going to tell you right now that we are not in a good space because prior to hitting record, you can tell we've been away from each other for a while because we were arguing like cats and dogs.
Yeah, it was bad.
As we typically do. And I'm going to tell you why in just 1 second. But first, big thanks to Roots Hair Design, Route 11 in Marion, because now that Katy is back stateside, she's going to be going to see Katy at Roots and getting her hair done.
Sunday is the day. Tiny, I have not gotten my hair done in about 6 months.
I'm shocked.
I've been counting down the days until I can get my hair done. So next time you see me, it's going to look beautiful. I'm going to look like a brand new woman, much better than what I look like right now. So I'm very excited. And the whole world heaves a sigh of relief. No,
almost.
Okay, the whole world
the world heaves a collective
sigh of relief. That's right.
If you're going to quote me quoting the Golden Girls, get it right.
I'm sorry. You always used to say that whenever I would say something like, I'm not going to sing this song. I'm just not in the mood for this song. And you would say, and the whole world heaves a collective sigh of relief on that one, Katy.
Right. That's true. It's true. So speaking of something that we typically do, before we break into, and this episode is going to be pretty much 95% dedicated to Katy going over her jaunt over to Spain and Morocco. But with that in mind, I want to share with you a portion of why I was upset with Katy leading into us hitting record.
Yes. And as you share this, I just have to quickly charge my computer because I'm not remotely prepared. So go on. Okay,
very good. So if you need to charge your computer, you definitely are not remotely prepared. Anyway, wow. So Katy loves what is happening here.
Sorry. Okay. I'm ready.
This is ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Okay. This is what happens. This is true. All right. I'm ready. Go on.
This is quote unquote live podcasting right here.
Yes.
So anyway, We love puns, and Katy really loves puns. And my wife Mary's the same way. I asked her the other day, as a matter of fact, I said, "Hun, what's something that if I die before you're really going to miss? You're going to look back and say, what I wouldn't give for one more blah, blah, whatever it is." And she thought about it a second. And she said, probably your puns, because you get so proud of yourself when you do them. And it's equally as funny hearing the pun as it is your response to it. So anyway, because apparently I do this thing with my eyes where when I give a pun, I go like this. I go,
oh, yes. Yes. You're waiting. The thing is about you and puns, though, and I've said this before, is you are brilliant because you can take multi-syllabic words and put them together into a pun. And it's unbelievable, honestly. Like, I'm really good at, if there's snow outside, oh, snow way, or don't flake on me, or I see what you did there. Those are easy, but you'll turn like snowstorm and snowman. No, those are only 2 syllables. Like something ridiculous that has to do with the weather.
We get what you're saying. I mean, but maybe that's why this wound up upsetting the apple cart, so to speak, when it comes to puns, because every time Katy's gone on a trip and she checks in somewhere, I try to make a pun out of it. When she was in Africa, I was making safari puns, and
Alaska
Australia
was a good one too.
Alaska, same thing. So she was in Spain, she was in Morocco this past week, and one of the places that she checked in was a Medina. So what was I going to say? I think the choice is obvious for the pun that I would make, or the funny comment that I would make. So I said, is it funky or cold there? Mm-hmm. Now, anyone who's listening to this, I would almost guarantee you, anyone who's our age or older listening to this would know that is a Tone Loc song called Funky Cold Medina.
Okay. Well, first, when I saw it, I had no idea what it meant because the word Medina was not presented in the pun when you wrote it on Facebook. So you just wrote, is it funky or cold there?
Right. But
I was thinking like, I don't know. It's kind of warm. It's not funky. It's different. And I didn't really understand what you meant because you didn't add Medina into it. And then it led to this argument that we just had right before we hopped on this podcast because he was so mad that I didn't think that the pen was so funny. Because God forbid, I think
You were like downright upset about it. And it wasn't amazing. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
I'm also like kind of in a bad mood today, and I don't know why. And I was just irritated because, first of all, I didn't understand it. Second of all, it didn't have the word Medina in it. And then third of all, I said to Tiny, I said, do you even know what a Medina is? And I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but a lot of people don't know what a Medina is. And I didn't really know what it was until I stepped foot in one, and it was like culture shock.
Right.
But a Medina isn't funky or cold, so I don't understand why that's part of the lyrics.
Because everyone understand, I wrote the song apparently.
Well, then I said to Tiny, I said, well, are there multiple definitions for a Medina? And maybe they're referencing definition 2 out of 3 in the dictionary of Medina, because it doesn't make sense. I would not call Medina funky or cold, which just led to this argument. And then we just hit start, and that's where we are right now in our relationship.
This is and I'll leave it at this. This is coming from the person who just admitted when it snows outside, she'll say, oh, snow way this is happening.
I do.
But yet she will dissect funky cold Medina.
Just
get a life. Funky cold Medina. You said I didn't say Medina in it. You checked in Medina. So wouldn't anybody, I don't care if you said a word. You didn't have to say a word or check in anything about Medina. But I guarantee you, if someone just posted somewhere, hey, funky or cold, someone's gonna think Medina. Please, dear God, back me up on this. Comment on this. Tell me I'm wrong. Sweet Jesus, tell me I'm wrong. If there's ever a time I've wanted to be wrong, this is it, because apparently I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. But I swear to you, this is what, I mean, I was blowing a gasket before we hit record, like I'm doing now.
Oh my God,
it's funky cold Medina. It's just funny. Don't ever go anywhere else ever again. Never, ever, ever travel. Ever. And if you do, I'm not making any more puns.
All right. Let me know when you're finished with this. I have better things to talk about right now than your funky cold Medina pun that I didn't laugh at. Are you done?
Not laugh at. I didn't expect you to laugh at it. I at least expect you to get it and not question it like the Spanish Inquisition. And we're back.
How long have you been holding on to that one, by the way?
I'm kind of surprised that one didn't work its way in to something before on your Facebook, but yeah.
I had a really good pun when I was over in Spain. I was touring this. I think it's the oldest Gothic cathedral or church in the world, or in Spain. I'm not quite sure. It's where Christopher Columbus's tomb is.
Okay.
It's the cathedral, yes, and it's called like the Cathedral of Sevilla. And I was touring it, and the woman who was giving the tour was talking about how it's Baroque style. It was done Baroque style. And I go up to her and I was like, well, after this trip, I'm going to be Baroque.
Did she get it?
I think so. But okay. I was laughing so hard that it didn't matter if anybody else got it or not, because I just thought that was so funny. After this one, I'm going to be Baroque.
I've heard that puns are something that more or less are an English thing. This is not a piece of like a humor that is understood by appreciated by other countries.
You are correct. When I was in Morocco, because I do puns all the time. So when I was in Morocco, we had a tour of the Medina, and our tour guide, he spoke his English was great. It was really good. He was a professor, and he spoke like 4 different languages and gave this elaborate tour of the Medina, because I'll explain what a Medina is in a second if you're not sure what it is. But I was saying
we know it's not funky and cold.
I was saying puns as we were going. Like, we walked past a market and I picked up a carrot, and I said, well, I said something like, if I can't buy this, I don't care at all, and laughed, and my cousin laughed, and it was just that over and over and over again. And his name was Muhammad, and he turned around, and I don't know if he thought maybe we were laughing a lot, and I think he just wanted in on the joke. And so we were explaining puns to him, and because he just knew English so well, he was able to pick up on what a pun was. And so at the end, a Medina is a big labyrinth, and the one that we stayed at in Fez, Morocco, is the largest and the oldest Medina in the Arabic world. It has over 10,000 alleyways and side streets, so you cannot walk out your front door anywhere, or you will get completely lost. It is just this labyrinth of side streets, and cars are not allowed in the Medina, so it's only donkeys, and you can't have a scooter, so people are walking. It's just insane. It's just this huge labyrinth of
they only let jackasses in the Medina?
Yeah, that's why I was there. So Mohammed turns around and we're explaining puns, and he says something like, well, guys, now mind you, this is an Arabic speaking individual who speaks English very well, but it's still a little broken. He turns around and he says, well, I hope you like the Medina. We didn't get lost. We really had an amazing time.
Nice.
And I was like, yes, Muhammad, that was awesome. Nicely done. Yes.
Top. Yeah.
I didn't even care that it was, such the obvious joke of it. I was so excited that he understood it, was able to go back and forth with the puns. But, well, Tiny, I could talk about this forever. I could tell stories. But before I get into the good stuff, before we get into the meat, let's take a second and thank our friends at Roots Hair Design in Marion.
If you are looking for a massage, if you need your hair did like Katie's about to get, you need your fingernails done. I mean, what do they call that? An esthetician that does the fingernail thing?
That's a face. That's
a face.
An esthetician does your face.
Well, who does the fingers?
Someone who does the pedicure, or a manicurist.
A manicurist. Okay, so forgive me for not knowing that.
Good Lord, Tiny.
Do you know when the last time I had my fingernails done was?
Talk to me about that.
I have no idea. That's never happened.
It's actually not a bad thing to go and get, maybe not your fingernails, but I know men that get pedicures if they feel it feels really good.
I've considered
just have someone
that.
Just have someone clean your feet, massage your feet. They don't have to put toenail polish on if you don't want to, but just to get your feet.
I'm still waiting for Katy to call me to set up my massage. This is still not happened yet.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to tell you about my massage in Morocco. Holy moly.
Okay. Well, then you know what? Let's lead off with that story here in just a couple minutes, okay?
Okay.
You don't want your hair just cut or styled. Get your hair designed at Roots Hair Design, 5459 Molly Pitcher Highway in Chambersburg, 717-375-2130. How about a women's cut? $32, $35, or $38? Guys, you're not going to get a better price on the cut you're going to receive at Roots Hair Design than $23. Now, if you have a teenager, they're getting ready for those summer pictures, prom season's coming up, girl or boy, $25 and $20 respectively. A kid's cut, just $18. Maybe you need your roots touched up, they have that as well. And they can do your nails, take care of your lashes, facial treatments, waxings, and what I plan to get is a massage. Roots Hair Design, 5459 Molly Pitcher Highway in Chambersburg. $10 off your first service to any new guests, and they're approaching their 12th year in business. You don't last that long if you're not doing something, or in their case, a lot of things right. Roots Hair Design, we can't thank them enough for being part of the Tiny and Katy Show. More of the Tiny and Katy Show starts now.
And we're back on the Tiny and Katy Show. Katy is back from Spain, and as promised, we're going to get into some stories here. We only have time for a few, but Katy, let's lead off with the one that you just talked about. What is that? I didn't even know this happened. And by the way, I just want everyone to know, I intentionally did not ask Katy to tell me anything about her trip because I wanted, the first time I'm hearing these stories in any great detail, to be on the podcast. So what's this about a massage in Morocco?
Okay, so I will tell you that the majority of the stories come from the travel, because the traveling there and the traveling back was a nightmare. I missed two of my flights, not my fault. 2 flights were missed. My luggage was lost for 2 days, and my luggage was completely broken. And then on the way, with the COVID regulations and making sure that you have your tests done within 24 hours. And when I was in Spain, it was Holy Week, so all the labs were closed, and I had to find a lab in the airport. I mean, it was just, the majority of my stories come from the traveling, but I do want to talk about the Hammam in Morocco. So when we were in Morocco and we were staying in the Medina, when we got to the Medina in Fez, I had no idea what to expect. I thought at Medina, and don't judge me for this, I thought it was like a souk, a lot of shops by a river, and you just walked up the Medina. That's not remotely what a Medina is. It's just this labyrinthine maze of all these streets, and vehicles are not allowed to go into the Medina. And it's very, very old. So this was the oldest Arabic quarter in the world where we stayed. So when we got to Fez and when we got off the plane, there was somebody waiting for us with our names who drove us to the Medina, because you cannot take a car in the Medina.
Was there someone, just real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Was there someone who was preparing you, like, don't do this, make sure you don't do this, you can't say this and touch this and all that?
It's not so much the rules and regulations of being in like an Arabic culture. It's more so that you can't leave your front door without somebody there walking with you, or you're going to get lost and you'll never find your way back to it's called a riad. It's your hotel. So when we got to the Medina, I had no idea what to expect. And all I see is this, it's like a city within a city, but it's like New York City within a city. It's insanely large.
Overwhelming, I'm sure.
there's somebody there that's going to walk us to our riad, because there's no way there's just no way we would have figured out how to get there. I mean, you're turning and turning and turning and turning and turning. And I just didn't know what to expect. So as we were walking, I mean, it was a good half mile till we got to our riad, turning left, turning right, there's a donkey over here. There's a market over here. It was such culture shock that it was very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I was also very tired from traveling. So I was excited to see the Medina, but I wanted to see it maybe in the daylight with a tour guide, not so much at 10 o'clock at night when I'm, hauling around this broken suitcase. So it was quite a bit of culture shock. And I wasn't aware that you could not leave your riad without a tour guide. You cannot leave and go anywhere. So we wanted to go get, Morocco's known for they're called hammams. Again, because I was invited on this trip so last minute, I was not really aware of the Moroccan culture and what to expect, because I just said, yeah, I'll go. And then realized we were going to be in Morocco for 50% of the time. And so somebody had to come and pick us up and take us to the spa. And when you're looking at the menu for the spa, it says hammam and massage, hammam and this, hammam and this. So hammam is like a noun.
Like, hammam and dad?
I knew you were going to say that. That's such an easy one.
I know.
And I looked at my cousin April and I said, do you know what a hammam is? And she says, I don't. I think it's a special kind of massage, but everybody talks about how great it is. And I said, okay, well, I guess we have to get a hammam, but I had no idea what to expect. So we go into the dressing room and we take off our clothes and we're wearing a robe, and we end up going, it was just me and April, very private. We end up going into this, like a steam, two women there that tell us that instruct us to take off our robes. We have nothing on underneath our robes, nothing.
Right.
And I was really uncomfortable with that because,
how do you think they
normally,
felt?
If you're getting a massage and if you are naked, there's a towel over top of you or a sheet over top of you. And they're very good and discreet about, even if you have to turn around, they place the cover on top of you. So, you're covered. There was none of that. It was take off your robe and stand. And I was really, really uncomfortable. I felt very, very vulnerable. But my cousin April said, listen, this is what they do. This is what they're known for. This is kind of your time to embrace the culture.
Like, look, Katy, for thousands of years, these people have not been grossed out. I don't think it's going to matter when you take off your robe. Next thing you know, she takes off her robe, like, holy crap! What the hell?
Everybody retires.
Yeah.
They're like, we're closing the hammam.
No more hammams
now.
and no more hadads. It is not happening here at all.
So I took off my robe, and at first I'm kind of like covering myself, and April says, just embrace it. And
I have this video playing in my head of like that very thing happening where she's giving you a pep talk, and she's like, Katy, don't worry about it. Now, this is what these people do. Imagine what they've seen. They don't care. And Katy walks out. And this woman vomits.
She's like, listen, I've seen some bodies in my days, but none of them have been like this.
Oh my God. The woman probably went back and told the managers, like, can we bring back COVID, please? This is ridiculous.
They were speaking in a very soft Arabic, in the Arabic language, very softly.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, they're totally talking about me.
I wish I knew what they could say. I wish I could do it.
First of all, Tiny, I'm just getting started. Like, this is the beginning of the hammam.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We're standing there naked, and they basically, they bathe you. So they're grabbing all this water from this enormous tub of warm water, and they bathe you. And then they wash your hair, and they braided my hair. And then they put all this argan oil all over you, and you lay on this like marble slab for 20 minutes. And then they come back and they finish like bathing you. It was the most wild experience I've ever had.
So there was nothing massagey about it?
Well, that's the hammam. That's just the hammam. I don't know if hammam means bath or cleanse.
Okay.
I'm not sure. They exfoliated. They had like this glove on and exfoliated.
Well, first of all, did you like that part? Was it good?
Yeah, I did. I think it just took a little while to get past the self, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I was self-conscious. Conscious, yes, not self-confident.
Well,
Self-confident, no.
Hey, look at these.
Self-conscious about it.
Well, let me ask you this though. So since they bathe you, and I'm not trying to be, when I say this, but I'm sure I'm not the only person who's curious about this. Do they just have at it everywhere?
Yes.
Or really?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. There is. I mean, yes. They make sure that you are squeaky clean by the time you leave, and your skin feels like a baby's butt. Like it's super super smooth. And
See, there would come a point where I'd have to say, no, I'm sorry, I can do that.
Well, I don't know how to say that in Arabic, and they don't speak English, so I just was
I know
really
how to say
trying.
it. Like, get your hands off.
I was just trying to embrace the culture and just step outside of I was already way outside of my comfort zone. I mean, it was the craziest experience I ever had.
Okay, so time out here. Time out.
Yes.
So obviously you said that they just everything from, head to toe. But were you in your mind before they got, we'll call them the nether regions. So before they got to these areas, were you thinking or were you prepped? A, were you prepped that they're going to do it? And B, if you weren't prepped that they were just going to, do whatever they did to wherever on your body, did you think as it's going on, okay, well, we're going to reach a point where they're going to stop and then kind of go around it?
It wasn't it didn't feel personal. It was just, I mean, it just felt like, I don't know. Like
somebody else washing your crotch.
Well, that, not so much there. Not so much that. More like up north. More up north.
So they didn't go into the loins area.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, no. No.
Well, Katy, what did you think I was talking about? My boobs are bigger than yours.
I don't know. I feel kind of uncomfortable talking about this. Let's talk about something else. So that was a hammam.
You're the one who brought it up.
And I wanted to kind of explain this experience, not so much where exactly they spent all their time of my body as they were giving me a bath.
You're telling us, you're telling me that they're giving you a bath and you are almost 40 years old. Do you not think that I'm going to ask these questions?
First of all, let's backtrack this train a little bit. Almost 40 years old. Yeah. I am freshly 36. That is not almost 40 years old.
And you've taught your children, you taught your students how to estimate, and you know that rounds up to 40. So don't even start with
no. Me. Okay. But anyway, so then afterwards they did give us a massage, and it was the best. It was one of the best massages I've ever had.
Why?
And
why was it good? Why was it so good?
Maybe the technique that they used was something I had never experienced before.
Okay.
And after she was finished, I have a lot of issues with my upper, like up in my neck. I hold all my stress there. Mm-hmm. And because I drive so much for work, I always have a lot of neck pain. And I felt like $1 million when she was done.
Speaking of which, how much did it cost?
With the hammam and the massage, it was $40 a person. Everything's fairly cheap there.
$40 US.
Yeah, it was 400 dirham, which is about $40.
Okay, so now over there, do you tip?
You do not tip. And I mean, we tipped like you would tip in any part of Europe. So when you are and you've never traveled abroad. So when you're in Europe, you don't tip like we tip in the United States. If you buy something for maybe €18 and you pay with 20 and you have €2 left, which would be coins, you would just leave the €2.
Okay.
You don't leave a significant tip, because over there in Europe, and people will know this if they've traveled abroad, when you go out to eat, it is an experience. You're not going out to eat to quickly get your food and be on your phone and then go back. It's an experience. The waiters are not hovering over you. They are not checking in on you every 5 minutes. I mean, you're there for a while. Mm-hmm. You take your time and you have an experience with the food, because the food is amazing. You have an experience with the people that you're with. You're not on your cell phone. You're not using your fork like a shovel. It's very relaxed, it's slow, you're there to enjoy the company. So the waiters take a lot of pride in their job, and they're paid fairly well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know this to be true if it would be an insult if you left an enormous tip. I'm sure it wouldn't be, but that's not customary that you would leave a large tip.
I've realized by looking at our time, Katy, this is probably going to have to be a 2-part episode here.
I haven't even gotten into the travel experience.
Yeah, and I don't want to let that out. So why don't we share like one more, if you got a quick story that you can share with us from your travel, and then next week on part 2 of this episode, then we'll break into the travel stuff. How about we do it that way?
Okay, sure. So when I got to Spain, I was only in Spain for a day. So when I got to Spain, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and we were leaving the next morning at 9:30 to go to Morocco. So we were there for less than 24 hours. Within those 24 hours, Tiny, we went to the Alcazar, which is this huge palace where they filmed parts of Game of Thrones. It's really, really beautiful there. We went to the Sete de Sevilla, which it's this really funky architectural design. It's called the Mushroom. They call it the Mushroom. It's really, really cool, really funky. And then we went to the flamenco show, not the flamingos, like an actual flamenco show.
And was it good?
It was amazing, but I'll tell you, by that time, it was 7:30 at night. I was so exhausted and jet lagged.
Yeah.
I started falling asleep. It was like that sound of the shoes, that
right.
It was just like putting me to sleep, and I kept dozing off, and I did not want them to think that I was bored with the show or being rude. That was just, I had hit it. I'd hit my point.
Right.
I could not go anymore. So we only stayed for about half of the flamenco show, but it was unbelievable. It was so fun, so amazing. And then we went to the airport the next morning to go to Morocco, where we missed our flight to Fez because my luggage was lost, and we were collecting my luggage, but it took so long to get my luggage because so many people's luggage was lost that we ended up getting to the ticket counter too late, and we did not make our flight to Morocco.
Did you ultimately get all your luggage back?
I got all my luggage back, but my luggage is incredibly broken. I'll send you a picture so you can pop it up on our pop it up so people to see. The handle is completely broken off.
Yep.
The one side, like the steel bar, is completely broken off, and there's about this much of the other steel bar that's sticking up. And this is Brick's luggage. I mean, it's expensive. My cousin gave it to me, and nobody really cared. Nobody really cared that my luggage was lost for 2 days and then broken, and I had to go pick it up from the airport. Nobody was delivering it to me. And because of that, we missed our flight to Fez, and there wasn't another flight until Wednesday. This was Sunday. So that was a whole story. We had to get a bus to another city, find another flight. We were 12 hours late. We got there super late. We had to pay $500 for the flight.
Wow.
It was just, it was and there's much more to that story because we thought we could take a ferry from Gibraltar to Morocco. Because on a map, Sevilla and a place called Tangier, they're like just slightly separated by the Mediterranean Sea.
Right.
And there are ferries apparently running like every hour. But because of COVID, they stopped running the ferries. And guess when they started running the ferries again for the first time in 2 years?
The day after you needed it.
The day after we needed the ferry.
Naturally. Wow.
Yeah. So that was crazy. But when we got there, it was amazing. The people in Morocco are beautiful, just beautiful, friendly. They have this sense of community, and a brotherhood, and they take care of each other. They took care of us, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful country. And we had an absolute blast. And then I traveled solo for 2 days.
So here's what we'll do coming up next week, a week from today. Well, as you're hearing this on Tuesday, hopefully, we will post part 2 of this interview. I feel like I'm like
yes, I do feel like I'm being interviewed.
Tiny's interview with Katy about her trip abroad. No, we'll do part 2 here, and we'll actually include a bunch of pictures. We'll post pictures of Katy's luggage. You can see some of the pictures ahead of time on our Facebook page and on our socials at Tiny Katy Pod. And what we'll also do is there is a post right now that you can join us because we didn't get to this really, aside from Katy talking about our luggage. But we want to know about your travel nightmares. We didn't plan for this to be a 2-parter, but things happen. So find us on Facebook at Tiny Katy Pod and tell us about your travel nightmare. You can also leave in the comments of this on YouTube.
Yeah, we know you have them, so we'd love to hear them because it was quite a nightmare. It was like one nightmare after the next, after the next, after the next. But I definitely learned to go with the flow, so that was a positive, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, we will talk to you in a week. Big thanks to Roots Hair Design, Route 11 in Marion. New Tiny and Katy show coming your way Tuesday and every Tuesday, 10 a.m. at WAYZ.com. Wherever you enjoy podcasts, I'm Tiny.
I'm Katy. Adios.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.